few days ago on TCC social media, we made a post about a fan taking a picture inadvertently of the mysterious rumored walker bot that we heard that Mark Setrakian may be making for Battlebots 2022. Well, now we officially know mostly everything about this robot named Stalker, of course made by Mark Setrakian. We talk about Stalker, everything we know about this robot, everything we know about the future of the Battlebots Walker class, and even some rumors about the Battlebots Walker class and even the robot Stalker itself here next at the Combot Collective. Stay tuned.
Oh my God! Wow! This is the biggest flame we've ever seen.
Has preserved enough energy to get in the flip on Carbine. We're going to go all the way. Oh my God! That's going to hurt. Grab the milk, Jenny.
Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Combot Collective for yet another Battlebots news episode, bringing everything you want to know from Battlebots 2022 as the filmings continue here live. I would say probably the playoffs are going on right now. Maybe the Golden Bolt tournament has started in some capacity, but they are happening in Vegas as I record this. And we have had news brewing from the left, from the right, from everywhere. We have talked about alternates. We've talked about Doom dropping out, unfortunately. Maybe some other robots have dropped out. We don't know yet. But today we're talking about a robot not competing inside the Battle Box this season, but definitely a robot to watch out for in the coming years of Battlebots. As we talk about the Walker class, we talk about Mark Setrakian, and we talk about his brand new robot Stalker. All the details we know about it, much thanks to the Scorpius vlog, much thanks to fans on Instagram that we have all this info. But as you know, walkers have always been a key part of robot combat, even back in the early days, whether they come as shufflers, bristlers, or something more traditional, like the pure walker we saw in Chomp just 2 years ago at Battlebots 2020. But one thing that robots with non-wheel mobility all for the most part suffer from is a lack of success. I mean, sure, we've had some robots in the NHRL circuit like Silent X and Smeeze that find success in the smaller classes, but outside of, moments like Anarchy reaching a heat final and Drillzilla doing great at Robot Wars Extreme, we have yet to see any real success in the Walker class. We've had some of the true originals like Mechadon and Jim Struts back at Battlebots 1998 and Robot Wars Series 2 respectively, which pioneered the class, but as mentioned, these kinds of robots would not find themselves even coming close to winning fights until the likes of Clodhopper, Hansgar, Drillzilla, and Anarchy appeared on the scene in the early 2000s, showing that legged robots could succeed in the UK arenas, and only a little bit later in the United States arenas we'd see the Gamatronic Robot Brigade show up with the original Gamatron, who impressed and was a TV regular on early Battlebots, but would still only go a combined 1-3 across its seasons, with its only win coming against the famed Suicidal Tendencies. Fast forward about a decade or so to the reboot era of robot combat, and big bot walkers were on the come up yet again. In 2015 and 2016, we'd see Rex, a scaled up version of the successful Antweight Gyrobot, do some serious damage to machines like Plan X and Witch Doctor, but still humiliate itself, going a career 0-3 inside the Battle Box. And of course, like we mentioned at the top of the video, the 2020 version of Chomp, who in my opinion is still, to this day, the most technically impressive combat robot of all time, and a robot responsible for my favorite fight in all of 2020 with Chomp vs. Gamma 9. But despite being this amazing and having such a strong start to that 2020 season though, Chomp would also have an abysmal year all things considered, going 1-3 with its year ending in a loss to Balespear of all robots. So all this has spelled quite a problem for Battlebots, Greg Munson, Trey Roski, and the rest of the team, who of course want the sport to evolve in a way that invites robots like we'd see in the movies, like we see from huge companies like Boston Dynamics, to fight inside the Battlebox, all the same as our regular machines like Tombstone and Hypershock. The disadvantage of that though is just that these robots are not on the same level competitively as these wheeled machines, even with the various weight bonuses applied. Battlebots have tried things out in the past to make things right, things such as the aforementioned weight bonuses for walkers, and even giving some teams two-legged bases to try and weaponize, something where Trey Roski bring up in a podcast back in early 2020, but all these ideas and changes have just sort of fallen to the wayside and haven't worked the way Battlebots have wanted so far, leaving our four-wheeled and two-wheeled counterparts to continue dominating the heavyweight division and just the sport in general, to be honest. So what's plan B now for Battlebots? Well, we recently brought this up in our Battlebots 2022 changes video, but we have already heard from our friends at Behind the Bot podcast, who recently shouted us out, by the way, thank you so much, back in early September from Battlebots co-founder Greg Munson, that there were indeed plans for Battlebots to tackle walking robots yet again by introducing a very experimental 250-pound walker class, which would invite walkers, shufflers, crawlers, and even bristlebots likely into a unique 250-pound division, while still offering the 500-pound advantage to fight in the main class. Greg would add that he had gotten the legendary roboticist and former roboteer Mark Setrakian to work on a robot for this proposed class, and that he would demonstrate at Battlebots 2022. And while the idea of Mark Setrakian making his first new crazy robot in likely over a decade sounded exciting, given Battlebots' track record of these sort of announcements lately, especially ones on podcasts, I was certainly skeptical. But now it's time for a bit of a history lesson. For those of you not to know, if you aren't aware of the works of Mark Setrakian, you most certainly are likely aware of some of his robots. Machines like super heavyweights, the Snake, and Mechadon, who have become some of the most iconic and marketable robots in robot combat history, and of course the Master, Mark's first robot and the robot which won the Robot Wars USA 1996 Heavyweight Championship in a finale fight which was featured on the first series of Robot Wars in '97. After the early years of the sport, Mark would focus on his special effects career, but work on competitive robots one more time with the spurring of Sci-Fi's Robot Combat League in the early 2010s. Mark would work on every robot which competed in this special TV series, and even acted as a coach for each team, showing them how to operate robots like Game Over, my personal favorite, Axe, and the show's eventual winner, Crash. I still disagree with the result. RCL, though, only went on for one season, as finally Mark would create Axis for Battlebots reboot era in 2016, 2015, 2018, all the seasons since. The claw machine which rotates the giant nut, and something that every Battlebots fan recognizes, and something which is really a true staple of the Battlebots playoffs every year. Back to present times though, when Greg Munson revealed this info on Behind the Bots, like I said, I was immediately a little bit skeptic. We've heard the team behind Battlebots make a lot of bold claims on these shows in the past, and we have also heard rumors of Mark Setrakian bringing a fighting freaking nature to Battlebot one more time in reboot era before also. These kinds of rumors have ended up being false in the past, but on the 22nd of October, a post on Instagram would share a photo of the 2022 Battlebots season tapings area, one which had none other than Mark Setrakian himself standing behind at long last what looked to be a brand new walker from the famed roboticist himself. Of course, if you follow TCC on social media, we have been all over these recent developments, which would conjure up a good bit of buzz from community members new and old. And of course, after this post, the floodgates would break open with all sorts of news, info, and footage on Mark Setrakian's brand new Walker robot. Just hours later, one fan would share full phone footage of the robot in action, donning it a sneaky table, a name I absolutely love, maybe even more than Stalker. And then a short time later, Team Fast Electric Robotics, the team behind Whiplash of course, would share even more footage of this five-legged creature walking around in the pits. Fast Electric Robotics would also share the name of this robot to the world, like I said earlier, giving it the title Stalker. According to Mark Setrakian's comments from the Team Scorpius video log, by the way, shouts to Team Scorpius, they've had fantastic pits footage so far, we would not know half the things we know now if it wasn't for them. But yes, the man himself describes Stalker as a bit of an anti-Mechadon in a lot of ways, as Mechadon was just a weapon in itself, while Stalker is a platform, a blank canvas of sorts. Mark Setrakian said in the vlog video that he wants to restart the walker conversation at Battlebots, as he believes there's a sweet spot for walking robots, but believes the current blueprint for 500-pound robots creates too slow and ponderous of machines, leading him to push for making 250-pound walkers in potentially their own competitive class maybe. This thought process, experimentation, and discussion would eventually lead Mark Setrakian to begin work on Stalker to kickstart this walker conversation amongst new and accomplished Battlebots builders once again. Mark built Stalker with intentions of exploring the cohesiveness of simple mechanisms and software control that could make a robot as effective in combat and would work in complex situations still. Talking about the robot itself though, Stalker version 1 is only a 77-pound prototype which is operated via a wired remote. A far shake from entering the battle box, but from the footage we've seen, the things that this 5-legged machine are capable of is absolutely fantastic. Stalker is designed to be invertible, it can hold plenty of weight on its top, could potentially reach hard to reach parts of the battle box like the upper deck or maybe even the out of the arena zone, and makes a perfect platform for potential weaponry in the future, just like Mark Setrakian intended. So that's everything we know right now about Mark Setrakian's newest creation, Stalker, as of today. But now let's get to some juicy and interesting thought points here as we begin to talk about a couple of rumors in regards to the Walker division, potential Walker division I should say, that have spurred up within the Battlebots community online over the past week. Keep in mind, I do want to repeat this again, everything from this point onward in this video are pure community rumors and should be taken with a big grain of salt. First off, the individual who posted the Stalker video from the Scorpius vlog on Reddit, I'm going to butcher this name, number Acanthistia 228, would state in the comments of their post that a full 250-pound version of Stalker would fight the rumored Hal Rucker Walker, which Hal has discussed making in the past, in an exhibition fight some point in the future. The Combot Collective asked for verification on this statement, but have yet to hear anything from the Reddit user as of yet. But if this does hold true, maybe this person heard something at the Battlebots tapings, maybe they were present there, then we would have the first official Walker vs. Walker combat battle in the heavyweight class since the Robot Wars Series 3 Walker battles, which featured the likes of Miss Struts vs. Stomp, and of course the legendary draw Mammoth vs. Arachnid. But you know, it's been over 2 decades since these hard to watch fights took place, and the sport has changed rapidly since then. Hal Rucker makes some wild things, and Mark Setrakian has already proven to us with Stalker that he's onto something big here in terms of the Walker class. Whether it be at the World Championship in 2023 or at a Las Vegas live event, the Combot Collective will be very eager to potentially see this dream fight between 2 huge walkers go down. And finally, we close off today's video with our second rumor, and perhaps a much more plausible one coming from one of my sources when I asked him for some verification about this Hal Rucker versus Mark Setrakian rumor. He replied that he hadn't heard anything about that rumor in particular, but he had heard from another source that Hal Rucker is in fact working on some stock robots for this upcoming Las Vegas live tour. But we do not know yet what these robots are, or if these machines are walkers, if they're a would-be fighting Stalker if that is the case. But we do know what kind of insane machines Hal Rucker can make. We've seen robots like Crazy Susan, Marvin, and of course Ringmaster from Battlebots 2016 in the past. So I personally believe that given the step-in which Hal would likely be given in this situation by Battlebots in Las Vegas, it could definitely make for some wicked creations by the man behind Duck. I certainly look forward to it, but those are our 2 rumors, of course, discussing Mark Setrakian, Stalker versus maybe Hal's Walker. A lot of people have wanted that robot to be named Goose. I would like to name Goose for a robot, but I'm a little biased. I love me some geese. And of course, Hal Rucker potentially making stock robots at Battlebots. But let's not bury what we do know here. Stalker, a 77-pound, 5-legged wired walker, the first robotic creation by Mark Setrakian in over half a decade for Battlebots. I am so excited to finally see this thing in action. We were one of the first people to talk about it. And just looking at it here, we've seen now footage from so many fans from Team Scorpius. Once again, shouts to them. The thing just looks absolutely amazing. When I see that middle arm go up like that, like we've seen in a lot of the videos, and coming forward, I can imagine like a hammer or like a hammer saw or like a horizontal spinner on that thing. And it just makes me so excited. I love the crab-like design. There are so many facets about Stalker that are absolutely beautiful. And if this is the start for a new era of Mark Setrakian and robot combat, I'm all for it. I really do feel like that we're starting to lose some of the old heads, some of the original names from the Comedy Central era. Now that, you know, Jason Bars is no longer a judge. Christian Karlborg, not present this season. So many other teams no longer around anymore. Son of Waiachi's gone. We're pretty much down to Shredderator in terms of really old school names in the class. Let's get Mark Setrakian back in the mix, even if it is only in a Walker class. He's just, I mean, Mechadon and Snake are just such iconic parts of Battlebots. You can't think of Battlebots without thinking of these beautiful robots. So, I mean, just the sport has not been the same without him, so he's more than welcome back. Axis is beautiful. Stalker is beautiful. What's next, we'll have to see. But that's going to wrap it up here at the Combot Collective. I'm your host, as always, Sterling Brown. You can find me on Instagram, @SterlingTXTG. As for the Combot Collective itself, you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook, both in the description below. You can also join our Discord community, also in the description below. That's where all of our YouTube and news posts go first. So definitely go there if you want TCC news ASAP. We have a small community there that we're trying to grow up as well. Feel free to take a part in it. And of course, our YouTube page right here. Please give us a like, give us a comment, and give us a subscription on the YouTube page. Ring the bell icon. please leave a comment. Like I said, give us what you think about the brand new Robot Stalker. Give us your constructive criticism for the Combot Collective. We appreciate everything you guys say, all of your support. That's going to wrap it up here. Like I said, I am Sterling Brown. This has been another Battlebots 2022 news video. We'll have to see what developments come up next. That's going to do it for us here. Thank you for watching.
This was the Combot Collective. Find us on Instagram and Discord.